subscribers. I have my mask on because I'm on my way to go get my fingerprints done for nursing. But I wanted to give an update. I know I've said I'm gonna upload all these videos about like my daughter's birthing experience and then the kind of shitstorm that happened afterwards, like her going to the NICU and just like a crash course learning into welcome to motherhood. Like, it's terrifying, but also the most amazing thing in the world as well. So anyway, I will upload those videos eventually, but right now we're in the middle of another crazy time. So my daughter was born on Thanksgiving, so a little over 2.5 months ago she was born, and since then we've been on this like runaway train of just needing to get stuff done and life changes and craziness. So I wanted to make this video related to what I'm going through personally to see it might help others. So when you're in a time of like transitioning, I feel like you're being tested by God. You're being tested by, if you don't believe in God, you're being tested by like the universe. And I feel like so when you're being tested, you can either learn like a test in school or you can fail it. So in my opinion, it's best to try to take what you can from the test, even if it's like the worst test in the world. You hate it, even if it's like a toxic test. So what I mean by that is if you're being surrounded by a lot of negativity, whether it's a person, the circumstances, everybody right now we're all in this pandemic together, whether we want to be or not. So I feel like we're all being tested, at least in that sense. But right now, with all the life changes, I feel like I'm being tested in other areas as well, like a big exam that I didn't study for or something. So basically, what I'm getting at is there's things you can do to help you along the way. So one thing that I learned in nursing school that is huge, number one, if you're going through a tough time, a challenging time, don't look at it as, number one, don't look at it as, oh, this sucks, this is horrible. You got to change your mindset into thinking, what can I learn from this? Even in the worst circumstances, there's always something to be learned, and I think that's like the silver lining of a lot of horrible circumstances is, but what can I take from this that's positive, that can help me grow, that can help me change in the future? But going back to nursing school, so what I learned, so that's number one. But number two, what I learned in nursing school that's huge is you gotta take care of yourself. So for every person, it's gonna be different how you take care of yourself, how you treat yourself. I'm such a nerd. Okay. But for instance, for me, a lot of self-care is like pampering, like going to get my hair done, going shopping, eating like foods that I know that aren't good for me but taste really good, and some foods that are healthy for you but they still taste good. Those are things that is self-care for me, but for you it could be different. And there's things that I do that you wouldn't even necessarily think, oh, that's self-care, but for me it is. Like, I've always found music to be healing, so for me that's self-care. Leaning on your support system, like whether it's your dad, your partner, your best friend, do that. Lean on support, I guess would be number 3. But the self-care thing, it might not even be what you typically think of self-care as in like pampering or whatever. It could be like eating healthy for yourself, going to the gym, everybody's thing is different, but it's like your favorite things basically to do, or your favorite like items is how you can self-care. And so number 1, have a positive outlook. Number 2, do self-care, whatever that means for you. It could be, watching Netflix for 5 hours and just binging. Just taking time for yourself and doing your favorite things, or being around your favorite people, or buying something that you're really interested in, whether it's like comic books or Gucci bags, I don't know, whatever it is. And then number 4 would be get your support system, lean on them, like to vent, to give you good advice, to push you through whatever you're going through. The self-care thing I learned in nursing school, because you really do have to do that. I mean, nursing school is so challenging. And I remember a good professor telling us that, and they were absolutely right. That, like, I think brought me back to my sanity. And I take that and I do that now, like in challenging times or whatever. And then I would say number 5 would be take charge of your health, not just mentally, but physically as well. Like, make sure you're eating good, make sure you're getting your meals in, that you're not going hours and hours without eating. Make sure you're getting sleep at night the most you can. Make sure you're showering. Like, these day-to-day things that we don't think about, but we tend to let slip when we're being challenged. And that's when you need to watch out for that even more, because physical and mental health go hand in hand. If it's kind of like a vicious cycle. If you stop taking care of yourself, you're going to feel lousy, and then you're going to get more in the dumps. But you feel like, oh, I can't do that right now, I don't have time. Make the time. Make yourself a priority. Because or else you're going to be in that loop, like I said, of I don't feel good, mentally or physically, and it's like a vicious cycle and loop you can get stuck in. If you don't feel good physically, you're not going to feel good mentally, and vice versa. But you got to force yourself to take good care of yourself when you're going through challenging times. Like, and make little shortcuts and make it as easy as possible. Like set a timer. Like, I will do work for so long, but then I have to take a break for myself to go brush my teeth or go get a snack. Like, make that part of your routine, just like you would an appointment. Like, make an appointment with yourself to take care of yourself. And then number 6, I think I'm just going to end it here. My last tip for you, if you're going through a challenging time, is you should be doing all those things, but if you're in a crisis mentally, you need to be reaching out to a counselor, a support group, or getting on medication. There's no shame in any of those. In fact, doing that is the brave thing, to say, hey, I'm a little bit over my head here. I need some professional help. And it can happen to anybody. We all go through times like this. And I feel like I'm stubborn because I always just want to be independent and not need help. And I feel like there's so much shame in our culture about getting help, when that's actually the strong and the right thing to do. But we look down on people when they're actually doing the best thing for themselves. So don't be embarrassed, and you don't need to share with everybody if you need help, but do it. And don't listen to people if they're like, oh, you really think you need that? You know what? You're the best judge of what you need and how you're going to get better. So listen to your gut. Go get help. And I think the best, if you're in a crisis situation, is you probably need all 3. You probably need to go to a support group. You probably need to see a therapist. And you probably need to get on some medication, whether you have depression, anxiety. Whoops. Sorry, I'm driving. Okay, well, I'm gonna end it there. Okay, but you get the idea. So, yeah, and sooner or later, the challenging time is not gonna last forever. Keep faith. Like, the only thing consistent with change is that there is change. So just ride it out, keep going, and listen to yourself when you're getting those signs. Everybody's going to be different, but signs that you're not doing well. Like, if you suffer from anxiety, your anxiety's up. If you suffer from depression, all of a sudden you're crying all the time. You don't want to do things you normally do. You're not eating or sleeping normally. That's a warning sign to yourself. Listen to that. Okay, I gotta get going. Love you guys. Hope you guys are all doing well. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Bye, guys.